So I hit his messages and instantly I'm like, who the f is this? And he's like, MJ, baby. What are you talking about? And I'm like, this is her man's. Who are you? And when I tell you, this simp ass nigga goes, so when I was about 16 years old, I had just gotten into my first serious relationship, right? Well, as serious as a teenage relationship could get, at least. And I had dated girls before, but I didn't really know how to navigate the relationship. And I arguably still don't, but that's a whole different problem. Anywho, let's just call this girl MJ. No Michelle Jones. And me and MJ met over Snapchat quick ad, right? Red flag number 1, by the way. So I've always been the type of anomaly that's always gonna send a text back to the Snapchat, right? Because ain't nobody got time to send back and forth pictures of our faces, broski. And low key, this was kind of my in. Because it turns out most dudes just cave into the back and forth Snapchat thirst trapping thing, right? And usually they don't get anywhere. So we chopped it up for a few days. And I'm really starting to like this girl, right? It's one of those looking at your phone in a constant 24/7 conversation type of situationships. One of those you stop replying for 10 minutes and she starts bombing your phone with all kinds of cute shit type of girls. Which, by the way, if you're about a week in and she starts getting obsessive and demanding all your attention, probably a red flag. But nigga, I love that shit. So about 2 weeks in, we decided to make it official. We're dating. Boyfriend and girlfriend. Whippy. And me and MJ started spending every waking moment together. We talk for hours about pointless shit. So about 2 months goes by and everything's going good. We're like madly in love by this point. I'm pretty much only talking to her, and at this point our lives are pretty much just revolving around each other. I'm posting videos less frequently. I'm spending so much time with her that I'm not even hopping on the game with the boys. My life had completely transformed in a matter of months to prioritize her at the center. And looking back, this was terrible. It had halted my growth on YouTube, prevented me from having normal social interactions, and my entire concept of happiness was tied to her. Now, obviously, hindsight is 20/20, so now I can look back and be like, hey, dumbass, surely you're setting yourself up for failure. But back then, nigga, I wouldn't have listened for shit. I was genuinely so deeply in love with this girl, as teenagers do tend to be in their first relationships. Spoiler alert, if this is you right now, that first heartbreak is a canon event in damn near every man's life. And if she's beside you right now talking about us? Never. She's lying to you, nigga. She has like 8 other niggas that she's talking to right now. No bullshit. Anywho, implanting deep trauma into my younger viewers aside, you should never let yourself get so absorbed into a relationship that it starts to overtake your own personal goals and interests, right? So deep down, I knew that prioritizing this probably wasn't the right choice to be making. But nigga, I was in love. So a few months into this relationship and ooh, the pandemic hits. And let me tell you something. A nigga's relationship was not built for the pandy, bruh. It was getting bad. It would go from love bombing and planning out the next decade to suddenly arguing and wanting to rip each other's hair out. We would argue and then switch to lovey-dovey mode like it's nothing. This shit was getting toxic. And this lasted for months because once again, I was so deeply in love that I was just overlooking all of the issues. 5 months in, it's around June at this point, me and her get into a huge argument one night and she decides to go to sleep. And I don't know if you've ever been into a heated argument with someone and they just decide to go to fucking bed on you, but that shit will make you lose your mind, bro. And I don't know what it was about the tension in our relationship that like planted this seed of distrust that night, because I had never really thought she was doing anything heinous to me before, but something about the way I was feeling right now told me to make sure. So at the beginning of our relationship, she did something that no one else has ever did to me. Right away, she gave me all the passwords to her social media accounts. And she was like, if you ever want to check if I'm loyal, feel free. And up until now, I had never felt the need to. But that inner demon inside of me just kept saying, do it. She said you could. Do it. So I signed to her Snapchat, right? And instantly I'm already insecure because the amount of dudes hitting her Snapchat, bro. And this is why I say never date a girl who uses Snapchat frequently, because the girls who do have an entire roster of niggas that have been trying to get at them for years, still desperately trying. So this part wasn't exactly a shock for me, and most of them weren't even open, so clearly she isn't talking to these guys like that, right? So this should have been enough to satisfy me, but I scrolled through her pictures, Don't see any other dudes. Check the recent messages. Seems innocent enough. And pause right here, by the way. These days, if I were to ever glance through a girl's Snapchat and saw that she had contact with this many dudes within a 24-hour span, I'm cutting that shit right there. Cause I promise you, there is nothing good waiting for you in this situation. But back then, I was like, they're probably just friends from her class. Yeah, nigga, all 20 of them. So I don't know what comes over me, but something tells me to check this one dude in particular. I see the name Edward, and he's got like some emoji next to his name. So I click on it, and what I see made me sick to my stomach, bro. I see months worth of flirtatious text messages, hour-long video calls, nicknames, nigga? And I was like, oh yeah, this is a certified side nigga. And his last message was on some flirty shit from like a few hours ago, right before she went to bed. So I hit this nigga's messages, and instantly I'm like, who the fuck is this? And he's like, MJ, baby, what are you talking about? And I'm like, nigga, this is her mans. Who are you? And when I tell you, this simp ass nigga goes, MJ, you gotta be kidding me. What about us? You said you wanted to cuddle with me. And I'm like, cuddle? Oh, hell no. This nigga gotta die. The pit in my stomach starts rising. The anger is building in my body. My chakra feels like it's about to explode. I was like, this bitch is a cheater. My Sharingan activates for the first time. I can't believe this shit. I check when bro was added to the Snapchat and 5 months ago, broski. Like 4 or 5 days after we started talking. This nigga had been a side nigga the entire relationship. Oh, this bitch is evil. So immediately I wake her up and I confront her talking about who's Edward. And instantly I could read the guilt all over her. She realizes she's been caught. And she realizes she's fucked up. And she starts going into this whole rant about how she's a terrible person with little self-worth and how she kept him on the side to validate herself or some bullshit. But she never did anything with him. Oh, please, bitch. Like, that's a valid excuse. Anywho, she goes on this whole rant, starts crying all over the place, apologizing, saying how much she loves me and that she doesn't want to lose me over some stupid Snapchat relationship that she should have cut off. She's like, I'll cut him off. And every other dude on the social media that I've ever entertained, I'll be the perfect loyal girlfriend. And she starts going on about how she wants to marry me and shit. And I'm not gonna lie, I fell for it, gang. I was just too young and naive. So I let it go. Said to myself, well, she didn't really cheat. But in reality, yes, the fuck she did. If you are purposely entertaining someone you know feels a certain way about you and are flirting and reciprocating all behind your significant other's back, you are cheating. Anywho, obviously after this, it was never the same. She tried extra hard for weeks after this, and I just couldn't look at her. Also, even though this went on for about another month, in my head, I had already resigned from this relationship. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I swapped back into me mode. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, there was just this overwhelming feeling of resentment. And I'm the type of nigga who, if I'm wronged, I'm gonna need revenge, or I just can't live with myself. And I know what they say. Revenge is never the answer. But nigga, that's not how I was feeling. So immediately I started doing the exact same shit she was doing. She be love bombing me over text while I was mid FaceTime call with a bad Latina. And yeah, it felt grimy. But I was also like, this is what you deserve though. But one day it all came crashing down. So we ended things and it hurt bad. Literally like somebody died. About a year or two later, she hits me up in the Instagram DMs. And she gives me this whole long rant about how she had gotten into like 2 relationships since then. And both of them she was kind of just pretending they were me. And that really painted a perspective of how toxic this thing really was. 2 niggas had gotten into a relationship where they were just a stand-in for me. That's so tough. Better luck next time, niggas. Anywho, moral of the story. If a relationship starts to feel toxic, unless y'all have kids together, probably just end that shit. You'll most likely avoid a lot of bullshit along the way. Yeah.